Hey everybody, how we doing? Sunnyvale Rejects back in the house with another video for my friends and family on what is a beautiful, sunny, peaceful morning here in West Palm Beach. I can't think of a better way to spend this morning than sitting here talking with you guys, my friends and family. I say it because it's true. For all you football lovers, the preseason has begun. What do you think about your teams so far? I know Zach is a Dallas fan, but I got to represent those Florida teams. Come on, baby. I like the Dolphins, the Buccaneers, the Cowboys, the Saints. Can't really tell much in the preseason, but we'll get a look at some new players, and that'll be exciting. Okay. You're not here for the football talk. You're here to talk and look at some books. And today we're going to look at books from the Western genre, which I have never done, I've never talked about, and I've never even mentioned these books, and I have no idea why. We all grew up watching Westerns, right? And there's a lot of misconceptions about the West, too. If you watch old interviews with Louis L'Amour, he lays it down, man. Like, for example, when you see movies of these young punks coming into town just shooting everybody up, that would never float in the Old West because a lot of those dudes in those old towns were ex-Civil War soldiers or police. They had guns. They were not afraid to use them, and they were not intimidated. And things like saloons and stuff like that, like a lot of women were not allowed in saloons. Most of them, if not all of them, were primarily run by men for men. And the women's dresses were different. You know, the dresses usually went all the way down to their knees, and they were not nearly as attractive as they are in the movies. So though there's just a couple of misconceptions right there, more abound. Without further delay, though, let's jump into this because if you've never read these books, I really think they'll give you a taste of what America was like in the 1800s and, you know, this untamed environment, this untamed landscape, frontiersmen, lawmen, outlaws, Indians, and yes, they do, in my experience, you know, living in Arizona around Apaches, Navajos, Dene, pardon me, you know, you learn a lot about these folks, and they have a very, very rich tradition that should not be ignored, but they prefer to be called Indians because, think about it, Native America is either named after Tupac Amaru, the Incan leader, or it's Amerigo Vespucci, both of which were concepts that they didn't really identify with. You know, they called this continent something else. So, in my experience talking to the folks back in Arizona, they prefer to be called Indians, and they took pride in it. So, there you go. That's the Old West in a nutshell. And let's look at some books. The very first Western book I ever read was, drum roll, True Grit, Charles Portis's 1968 instant classic, True Grit. Have you ever read it? I'm sure you saw the movies. It spawned 2 Academy Award winning novels. Highly praised, funny, and eccentric. Although, I don't know, that font's okay. But some of these have really, really small fonts. True Grit tells the story of Maddie Ross, who is just 14 when the coward Tom Chaney shoots her father down in Fort Smith, Arkansas, aka Fort Chaffee, and robs him of his life, his horse, and $150 cash. Manhattan Island was sold for $24 from an Indian that just walked down the hill to fish. And this guy said, "Hey man, will you sell this?" And he goes, "Sure, give me the $24. And he was gone, boy. He took his fish and left, and then there you go. But that was a lot of cash back then. Filled with an unwavering urge to avenge her father's blood, Maddie finds and, after some tenacious finagling, enlists One-Eyed Rooster Cogburn. Y'all know that's a phenomenal character. The meanest available U.S. Marshal as her partner in pursuit. And they head off into Indian territory after the killer. And what happens next is mind-bending, funny, exciting, scary, lovable. It's True Grit. Give it a chance. All right. Sippy of the coffee here. Guys, today is day 8 of my sobriety. I have not drank a beer in 8 days. And y'all know I like to drink beers after work to come down. And I like to drink beers and talk to you guys and make videos. But it's the after effects, you know, that I don't like. The groggy, the fogginess, the munchy kind of thing, you know. I just got to take better care of myself and be a better person for y'all. I'm not saying I won't do it again, but it'll be fewer and far between, you know. Yuck. That's cold, and I just brushed my teeth. Next, this is one of my favorite writers of all time. You know him well, and I included one of his books in the 10 greatest books ever written. It's Oklahoma's Cormac McCarthy. Faulkner-esque. I'm talking everything this man touches turns to gold. Beautiful, beautiful prose, well-written narratives, tight plots, characters that you will never forget. Very memorable. Every single one of his books is good. And this is No Country for Old Men, part of a trilogy. Was it the Border Trilogy? Yeah, Cormac McCarthy, No Country for Old Men. There's my man right there, brooding. The setting is the Texas-Mexico border. The time is our own, when rustlers have given way to drug runners and small towns have become free fire zones. A good old boy named Llewellyn Moss finds a pickup truck surrounded by dead men. A load of heroin and $2 million in cash are still in the back. Tempting. Not the heroin, but the cash. When Moss takes the money, he sets off a chain reaction that not even the law can contain, encompassing themes as ancient as the Bible and as bloodily contemporary as the morning headlines, which are nasty. No Country for Old Men is a triumph, and a triumph it is. The movie was pretty good. What'd you think? Tell me in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Tell me anything. Tell me my video sucks. Tell me you love it. Tell me you love the book or hate it, but talk to me. And while you're there, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please, your support really matters to me. Next, it's Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. Why stop at No Country for Old Men? All the Pretty Horses. This movie broke my heart. I saw the movie first, went back and read the book, and damn! The book is 10 times better. And how often do we say that? They found a picture they liked and they stuck with it. All the Pretty Horses, the first volume of the Border Trilogy, tells of young John Grady Cole, the last of a long line of Texas ranchers. Across the border, Mexico beckons. Beautiful and desolate, rugged and cruelly civilized. With 2 companions, he sets off on an idyllic, sometimes comic adventure to a place where dreams are paid for in blood. Short and sweet and crisp. Yeah, that little description did the book justice. It's a very, very good book, but it'll break your heart. Don't get me wrong, it will break your heart. Okay, next on the list is Larry McMurtry. Born in Texas, died in Tucson, Arizona in 2021. He won the Pulitzer in 1985 for Lonesome Dove. We're talking about Leaving Cheyenne. Larry McMurtry's Leaving Cheyenne. This dude attended Rice and the University of Pennsylvania. 34 Oscar nominations for films based on his books. 13 winners. So my man had it going on. Have you ever read it? What do you think? My whole career, I've kind of made a habit of not reading the most popular books by authors first, and not listening to the most popular songs by bands, like Radiohead Creep. I didn't listen to that song for 10 years after becoming a Radiohead fan because I didn't want to feel like I was jumping on the bandwagon. But I did indeed read Lonesome Dove, but this is better. Pardon me. This is better. I think, but what do you guys think? I'm sure you've read it too. If not, dig into it. If Chaucer were a Texan writing today, this is how he would have written, and this is how he would have felt. That's pretty cool. In Leaving Cheyenne, this is 1963, which anticipates Lonesome Dove more than any other early novel, the stark realities of the American West come to life in a mesmerizing love triangle. This compelling story, told with consummate skill, that's from the San Francisco Chronicle. They do good reviews. Alternates between 3 unforgettable characters: stubborn rancher Gideon Fry, resilient Molly Taylor, and awkward ranch hand Johnny McLeod, the 3 of whom struggle with love and jealousy as the years pass. Give it a shot. That didn't really do it justice. That didn't really say much, but the book is phenomenal. It really is. I took some notes on him, because I'm not the sage on the stage, and I'm looking down, if you see my eyes moving, because I want to make sure I didn't forget anything important. No, the importance is right in here. No matter what we say about the authors, no matter what background information we give, that doesn't in any way inform really what kind of writer they're going to be or what the content is about. The proof is in the pudding. But he was a prominent bookseller and book collector. It's Larry McMurtry, and you're going to love this book. Okay, Zane Grey, Riders of the Purple Sage, next book on the list. Born in 1872, died in California in 1939. Pearl was his first name, Pearl Zane Grey. He was a novelist and a dentist. Wait a minute, I made a mistake. Larry McMurtry went to Rice and the University of North Texas, and Zane Grey attended the University of Pennsylvania. Check this out. While I'm looking at my books, my notes, damn it, let me get my head together. Okay, so while I'm looking at my notes, I see that I made a mistake. Larry McMurtry went to Rice and the University of North Texas, and Zane Grey attended University of Pennsylvania. So these old dudes were educated, man. A lot of people don't think about that. People in the Old West were literate, and they read a lot. And they had a lot of time on their hands. So Zane Grey's Riders of the Purple Sage will change your life. One of the greatest Western stories ever told. Ever. In his time, he was a top 10 bestseller. He sold a ton of books. And of course, spawned a bunch of movies. It's Zane Grey in his Riders of the Purple Sage. Lassiter. A sharp clip crop of iron-shod hooves deafened and died away, and clouds of yellow dust drifted from under the cottonwoods out over the sage. Jane Witherstein gazed down the wide purple slope with dreamy and troubled eyes. A rider had just left her, and it was his message that held her thoughtful, almost sad, awaiting the churchmen who were coming to resent and attack her right to befriend a Gentile. That's very smooth, eloquent writing for people that you would assume weren't really that intelligent, you know. And remember, the narrator is a reflection of the times. Unless otherwise stated, the narrator has to use the historical context of the time period, whether it's language, political things going on, who's the famous star of the time. And one false move reminds you that there's somebody behind the curtains. Beautiful writing. Beautiful writing. Oh, man, not a whole lot going back here. What does this say? Nothing. There is nothing. Why would you put that on the back of a book? Don't do it. What a total waste. But they were doing it to save money. All right. Louis L'Amour, last author on the list, born March the 22nd of 1908 in North Dakota, and he died in L.A. in 1988, making him 80 years old. One of the most famous Western writers of all time. One of the most popular American writers of all time. He was a lieutenant in the U.S. Army, too, and fought in World War II. Hondo was probably his most popular book, and he did primarily write Western novels, although he wrote other things, but he called himself a writer of frontier stories. And while Hondo is his most popular book, I liked these two, and they're amazing. Give them a shot. They're short and sweet, too. It's Down the Long Hills, Louis L'Amour. Down the Long Hills. Look. Just a little thin book. You take this on a trip with you, and it's like nothing you've ever read before. It takes you out of your comfort zone and actually will remind you of the modern comforts that we have, and you will appreciate them a lot more. Imagine being on the trail and having to take a deuce, and you ain't got nothing but some socks, and you got to have them socks because it's cold out there. What are you going to use? A leather strap, a palm frond? I don't know, but I'm so glad that some things have changed since then. But in some ways, we consider them primitives, and they were not. Down the Long Hills. Everyone was dead. Indian raiders massacred the entire wagon train. Only 7-year-old Hardy Collins and 3-year-old Betty Sue Powell managed to survive. With a knife, a horse, and the survival lessons his father taught him, Hardy must face the challenges of the open prairie. Using ingenuity and common sense, he builds shelters, searches for water, and forages for food. But as he struggles to keep them alive, he realizes that their survival would depend on his ability to go beyond what his father was able to teach him. On a side note, as a father, and a lot of you are probably parents too, all you can do is teach your kids what they need to survive. Like chew your food properly. Look 15 times before you cross the road. Don't talk to strangers. all those things. And then you kind of got to turn them loose and make sure that they listen to you. And it is scary. That's the toughest thing about love, y'all, is not being able to protect them all the time. And, you know, it's weird. Like, I heard somebody say once that they were a lover and not a fighter. And then Keanu Reeves, I think, said, in order to be a lover, you have to be a fighter. That means a lot to me. That gave me the chills. Down the dong hills. Did you hear what I said? I said, "Loud the dong hills." Oh my God, what does that mean? Anyway, it's Down the Long Hills by Louis L'Amour, and it's a great book, and you're going to love it. It's too late to edit this video, so I got to keep these mistakes in it. I'm not going to stop it and edit it and then restart it. I'm going to keep on going, because I do this in class too. I screw up all the time. I am not perfect, far from it, and I don't expect that out of people. You know, when my students are talking to me about stuff, they'll be like, you know, because they speak Spanish primarily and they struggle with English, and I look them straight in their eyes. I don't nitpick in any way. I don't judge them in any way. I wait for them patiently until they're done, until they get it right. I process it, and then I speak as calm and as coolly to them as I can. But I screw up all the time. We all do. We got to stop seeking perfection. We got to stop seeking approval too, and just be ourselves. And those people who love us and appreciate us for what and who we are, they're the ones that we keep close, if you know what I'm saying. It's Tucker. It's the last Western novel I have, and it is my favorite, and I love it. I don't know who's heard about it, who hasn't, but read it, and it's going to change your life. I'm telling you, I was telling some kids yesterday, you know, in my classroom, it's an ELA class, but I teach creative writing as well, and I teach high literature, you know, lofty literature like A Tale of Two Cities, Dostoevsky, Chaucer. I teach Hemingway, Faulkner, and I also teach Fear Street and Goosebumps and Point Horror. I want people to fall in love with books, and you got to give them a book that is fun first, that has an endearing story, and then they'll understand that reading is not just about entertainment, but you're also supposed to be digging and mining for the truth that the author is trying to proffer, some little bit of wisdom. And if you start them off with the right book, one that's fun and they like the characters, sometimes a violent story, they really like it, or a dramatic romance or something like that, then they'll take a chance on another book, and that's all you can hope, is that the book they read after that is better than the one before, and it just keeps their appetite for reading going. Tucker. If a man won't fight for what is rightly his, then he ain't much account. With this challenge from his dying father, young Shale Tucker rode out after 3 men who had stolen $20,000 his father was carrying. His father was a rancher, had led some cattle to be sold, and when he was leading the cattle to the place where they were going to sell them, he got robbed. 2 of the men he hunted, Doc Seitz and Kid Reese. They were his friends too, which really sucks. Dreaming of adventure, Tucker had wanted to join their gang, but now, with his father gone and the people back home desperately in need of the proceeds from the cattle drive, Shell was determined to uphold his father's reputation and recover their money, which was their livelihood. Here's a bit about the Old West that is worthy of consideration. There was a lot of violence, and there was a lot of hangings and shootings, and it wasn't considered murder for 2 dudes to shoot it out, you know, getting shot in the back or something like that, you know, being innocent, that was murder. But these guys were really tough, and they didn't have time, say, for example, court dates. So if a rancher saw somebody stealing his cows, he would just hang them right there on the spot. Otherwise, he had to take them 100 miles, you know, into town to the courthouse, come back a day later, you know, for depositions and whatnot. It was just too much trouble. So they literally hung them from the first tree that they saw. And there was one less thief around. Not saying it's right, but that's how it was. This is Tucker from Louis L'Amour. And you're going to love his books, really. He took it very, very seriously. And there was a time when he was writing about 3 books a year. But he was the one that really created a lot of the mythology of the Old West and corrected some of the misunderstandings about the Old West. So we've looked at some really good Western books here today. I hope you're inspired to go pick one up. Please do. And tell me all about it. Come on. Tell me all about it. I want to know if you like them, if you hate them, what you think. But before I go, I want to give a serious, meaningful, heartfelt shout out to my boy Zach over at Shady Side Library. If you have never checked out Zach's channel, which you probably have, it's amazing, and he's a pioneer, and he's an inspiration to me, not only as a friend, but as a YouTuber. He really knows his stuff, and he makes great, beautiful, creative videos. We send stuff to each other every now and then, and the other day I got a package from him, and it just made my day, so thank you so much. I wanted to show you the books that he gave me. Check it out, y'all. Look at that. The Locker. Richie Tankersley Cusick. Thank you, Zach. What a beautiful little book. That's going to look so good on my shelf over there. Check it out. It's got a little step back art. What do you think? Pretty cool, right? Final assignment. After the nightmarish death of her parents, Marley Fleming was starting over a new school. This is an M-dash. You see that? That's an M-dash. It's a very masculine punctuation mark that kind of pulls the narrative back together, as opposed to a comma. It sets it off more. It's better. A new school, a happy life, but her new friends, Tyler and Noreen, acted strangely when they saw the locker she'd been assigned. They said it had belonged to Sue Ellen, who had mysteriously disappeared. The moment Marley opened the locker and saw the horrifying vision, she was afraid of the future. Cannot wait to read this book. I was looking for it anyway. Thank you so much. Last book. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Look at that. The Babysitter's Nightmare. Kate Daniels, The Babysitter's Nightmare. I only saw this book in videos, never seen it out in the wild. So I'm very grateful for it, and I can't wait to read it. And I was talking about Zach the other day to some of my students, and showed a student, a 10th grader, the book, and she's like, "Can I please read it when you're done? Please, please, please." And I said, "Yes, but only if you take care of it." Babysitter's Nightmare, Kate Daniels. Someone is setting her up. Alice Fleming is trapped in a nightmare. Someone's been breaking into houses all over town, stealing and wrecking furniture. The victims all had one thing in common. Alice babysat their kids. So Alice is the problem. The police are ready to lock Alice up, and even her friends are wondering if Alice has a dark side that they never knew about. For a fatal fall, ... Then one night, Alice cancels a babysitting job, and the substitute sitter is murdered. Alice is desperate to find the real killer, but as she follows the killer's trail, is she walking into a deadly trap set just for her? You'll have to read the book and find out. And I'm definitely going to read this book. Thank you so much, Zach. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being cool and nice to me always. I'll never forget it, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys. I really do. You mean so much more to me than I can put into words. Have a wonderful day. Stay cool and never, ever stop reading.